guys, Megranat Spy here, and welcome to Kyle is Santa. Oh boy. Yep, this is the thing.
Kyle woke up. He...
Change jobs.
Kyle thought very carefully about the first move of his day.
Let's embrace the Christmas spirit.
As Kyle started to leave his bed, something stopped him. Maybe it was a smell in the air. Maybe it was the chill from outside, or maybe it was just pure luck. Kyle had been imbued with the spirit of Christmas. In an instant, Kyle began to hear the dreams and wishes of every child in the world all at once. Kyle's newfound abilities were quite overwhelming. He clutched his head and screamed loudly.
Sounds about right.
The voices did not stop. Kyle curled into a small ball and rocked back and forth. Not to be left alone, Kyle was gifted with a Christmas miracle. Small bumps began forming under his skin, pushing outwards.
Oh no.
Kyle's skin began to stretch and tear, letting loose a small army of elves that had been growing in his stomach.
Oh no.
The elves scattered around Kyle's apartment, foraging for anything remotely nutritious to feed on.
All this man has is lard.
Kyle burst an elf army. He had been chosen to become Santa Claus.
You know what? That can be a good thumbnail.
Kyle decided that the best course of action was to fulfill his duties as Santa Claus. Kyle stepped out of bed, stray elves falling from various holes in his skin.
No, I don't like that.
Kyle must now continue his day as Santa Claus.
Okay, open the closet, choose an outfit.
Kyle decided to take some time to choose the perfect outfit, knowing how important appearance is.
Apparently you have a Santa suit.
Kyle appropriately chose to dress as Santa, who he was.
Okay, back to room. Exit to hallway. Kitchen. Make Christmas cookies.
Kyle thought it would be nice to make some Christmas cookies. He opened every drawer and cupboard in his kitchen, trying to decide what he would top his cookies with. Soon, he had narrowed it down to 4 choices.
Dirt, silverware, sprinkles, dead rats. Let's do sprinkles.
Kyle placed a generous amount of sprinkles on each cookie. They were delicious.
Skip to the end of the day.
Kyle hurried to the set. Sitting across from his host chair was a glamorous woman with an air of genuinity. As Kyle approached her, Rachel looked up and smiled. "Good evening, Kyle," she said, looking him in the eyes. "I've been looking forward to being here." Kyle responded.
Lately.
"And I as well, Rachel," answered Kyle, extending his hand in greeting. "You are a most welcome guest." After other mild exchanges
She's
of
not gonna
pleasantries,
question
Kyle
the
and Rachel
holes
were
in his
prompted
skin.
to take their places for the broadcast.
His Santa clothes.
A moment after seating, the studio lights brightened and the cameras clicked on. "Good evening, everyone," said Kyle, looking at the camera. "Welcome back to Stay Up Late with Kyle." Kyle continued. "I am your host, Santa Claus. I am here to bring you Christmas cheer."
It just sounds like he's trying to yawn.
Kyle put his notes down and looked at Rachel. Said Rachel, not understanding. "It's not something to joke about, Rachel," said Kyle. "I take being Santa very seriously." "And I take you very seriously, Kyle," said Rachel.
I'm
not
Santa."
Kyle," said Kyle. "I am Santa Claus."
More?
"I'm sorry, Santa," said Rachel matteredly. "Do you happen to have your naughty and nice list with you? I want to know where I stand." Kyle realized he had not written his naughty and nice
Oh no.
list. Trying to save face, Kyle retaliated. "Well, a real Santa doesn't need a list because he has
Oh,
it
no.
all up ear.
That's why
Kyle
he
tapped on his
has
head
a
a few
lisp.
times.
Because there's too many children in the world to keep it up here.
Rachel was unconvinced. Kyle, one of Santa's only defining characteristics is having a naughty and nice list. Don't take it away from him.
No, he's fat, he's jolly, he likes cookies and milk. He delivers presents to, like, billions of children in before the sun rises. Yeah, it makes total sense. That's totally his only, like, defining characteristic.
Kyle began to doubt if he had truly experienced a Christmas miracle or not. Rachel, he said, I have to be Santa. Why's that, Kyle? Rachel looked at him sweetly. Because earlier today I birthed thousands of elves from my very flesh, said Kyle. Here, I'll do it again.
No.
Kyle tried to produce more elves from his skin. What Kyle did not know is that he had not produced the elves from a Christmas miracle. In fact, Kyle had been infested by the mother elf who had laid her eggs in his stomach for incubation. Irritated by the commotion, the mother elf burst out of Kyle's mouth, screeching her war cry. Pandemonium ensued as the mother elf aggressively attacked all present. Rachel drew a blunt weapon from her pant leg and started to beat the elf. Eventually, the mother elf had taken enough. With a parting screech, she scurried out of the studio to find a new host. Nobody quite knew what to do next, so nobody did anything. Eventually, Kyle addressed the audience. Everybody, he said, I don't think I'm Santa Claus. The producer shut the cameras off and everyone went home. Kyle continued the coming days as normal, but vetted his diet much more carefully.
It was the mother elf. Huh.
Kyle thought, as Kyle started to leave his bed, Kyle must...
Okay.
Kyle...
Okay, we have our Santa suit. Create Santa's list.
Kyle knew he must construct his naughty and nice list. He began to think of all of the people in his life. Kyle thought of Gabby. Gabby crashed through Kyle's floor and began punching him in the face repeatedly.
That's definitely naughty behavior.
After a few minutes, she left through his bedroom door. Kyle thought of Rachel. Kyle thought of Techno Jim. Kyle thought of Kyle. Kyle ripped his list out of his notebook.
Interesting. Move to kitchen, make the cookies.
Kyle. Yup. Soon,
Dead rats.
Kyle placed one of the dead rats in his sink on each cookie. They were very bad.
Back to kitchen. Bad food. Skip to the end of the day, and now we have our naughty and nice list.
Kyle responded, and I... Good evening.
Okay, explain you are
Kyle.
Santa.
I am not Kyle.
Okay.
And you, Kyle, said Rachel, are getting awfully close to switching to the naughty list. She...
Okay. I skipped too far.
Good evening.
Explain that you are
Kyle
Santa.
continued. It's... And I am not...
More.
I'm sorry, Santa, said Rachel matteredly. Do you happen to have your naughty and nice list with you? I want to know where I stand. Yeah, said Kyle, pulling out his list. You don't rank well. Rachel was visibly taken aback. Oh? Said Rachel. Why's that, Kyle? 'Cause you suck.
Okay.
Kyle made no attempt to try to frame his comment as a joke. He stared at Rachel expressionlessly. Well, Kyle, said Rachel, being that I am Santa Claus, I'm not sure you have the authority to say that. Rachel pulled her own naughty and nice list out of her pocket. Kyle's blood ran cold.
I wish she prepared for this.
And you, Kyle, said Rachel, are getting awfully close to switching to the naughty list. She raised a pen menacingly. No. Rachel, no, said Kyle. Don't do that! Rachel held her mouth open in a maniacal smile and drew the pen slightly closer to her list. Kyle dived across the stage, nabbing at Rachel's hands to try to steal away either the list or her pen. A fist fight between the two ensued. Blows were given to the face of each with equal gusto. After several minutes of being slightly amused, the producer thought it may be better to end the broadcast. As the lights shut off and the studio closed, Kyle and Rachel were still locked in combat, neither backing down. Who between the two was the true Santa was never figured out. But indeed, that night, the true Santa was involved in a fistfight and did not deliver any presents.
Oh.
It was the worst Christmas ever.
Oh. Oh, what's that new trail? Trail, soup, doop. Gloop, gloop. This is Ducky. He loves you. Oh, yeah, I forgot trails for this. Okay.
Kyle thought very carefully about the first move of his day.
Okay, embrace Christmas. Skip.
Kyle must.
Start day. So we open the closet. We choose an outfit. Of course, it's going to be a Santa suit. We go back. We sit at the desk. We rate the list again. But this time, everybody's nice.
Kyle thought of Gabby. Kyle thought of Rachel. Kyle thought of Techno Jim. Kyle thought of Kyle. Kyle ripped his list out of his notebook.
Back to the room, go to the hallway, go to the kitchen.
Kyle thought it would be
cookies.
He opened. Soon, he had narrowed it down to 4 choices.
Dirt.
Kyle sprinkled a small amount of dirt on each cookie. They were iffy.
Food. Okay. Skip to the end of that.
Good evening.
I am Santa.
Kyle continued. I am not. I'm sorry, Santa, said Rachel matteredly. Do you happen to have your naughty and nice list with you? I want to know where I stand. Yeah, I do, said Kyle, pulling out his list. You're on the nice list. Well, thank you, Santa, said Rachel. What a nice surprise.
Uh-huh.
Kyle was suspicious. Is it a surprise? He asked, raising his eyebrows. Rachel coughed. Oh, of course it isn't. I'm nice. Always on the nice list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if that's the case, I want to try something, said
Kyle.
So, if I put you on the naughty list, will you turn into a bad person? Like, can I control your morality? Before Rachel could answer, Kyle crossed her off of the nice list and added her name to the naughty list.
Huh.
Immediately, something changed. Rachel jumped out of her seat in a blind rage and began trashing the studio, laughing horribly. Kyle, suddenly curious, began adding other names of people he knew to the naughty list.
Huh.
Friends, family, and acquaintances of Kyle began bursting through the walls, ceiling, and floor, fire in their eyes. It did not take long for the studio to fall into complete ruins. Kyle was fascinated by the results of his actions. Kyle wrote a dissertation on the effects of Santa on adults and was published in many psych journals.
Huh.
As research branched off of Kyle's findings, Kyle began to be known as much for his scientific findings as his talk show.
Ah, this means a lot of things. Smart? I don't know.
Somehow, Kyle had become extra famous.
Huh.
Kyle must... Kyle... Kyle quickly crouched down on the floor, realizing his immediate need for... Kyle winced as he realized he would probably need to bring some elves along. Kyle grabbed a nearby bag. He started to crawl around, snatching up elves left and right and chucking them inside. Soon, Kyle's bag was mostly full of elves.
Elf bag. Okay.
Good evening, Kyle, she said, looking him in the eyes. I've been looking forward to being here. Before Rachel had completely finished her sentence, Kyle took his bag of elves and dumped them on her. The elves grabbed onto Rachel with a deathly, unshakable grip. Kyle, what on earth? Cried Rachel. She leapt up from her chair and tried to bat the elves off of her. These, Rachel, said Kyle, are your newest and bestest friends. You must take good care of them. The elves looked Rachel in the eyes and smiled endearingly. Unknown to anyone previously, Rachel had terrible allergic reactions to elf dander. Within moments, Rachel's whole body turned bright red and began to puff. This reaction was not like a normal reaction. The very foundational composition of Rachel's person began to change.
Okay.
Rachel started to sprout limbs from her legs and forehead. Her fingers grew extra eyes.
Oh, no.
As Rachel continued to mutate, it became obvious to the onlookers what was happening.
It did.
Rachel was transforming into the pure embodiment of Christmas.
Sure.
Kyle realized that if he was going to keep his job as Santa, this would have to be nipped in the bud. Kyle started to pull elves off of the growing Rachel. Instead of slowing the growing process, this seemed to give Rachel's body more space to develop new limbs and ears. After pulling off a few more elves, Kyle threw up his hands in frustration and gave up. He walked out of the building.
Oh, he walked out of the building.
Rachel continued to grow, becoming a shapeless mass of teeth, shoulders, and fat. The elves were slowly enveloped. After the initial shock wore off, the surrounding community began to appreciate Rachel's new form.
Why?
Over the years, she became an icon of local Christmas tradition, acting as a centerpiece for decoration and celebrations. Rachel truly became the embodiment of Christmas. Kyle, still Santa, remained very jealous.
Santa background. Huh.
Kyle woke up. Kyle thought... As Kyle... Kyle grabbed the small key he kept in his desk. Kyle, instead of an assortment of Kyle realized it was wise to conduct his duties as Santa. Kyle could think of nothing better than to gather children around him and give them presents.
Let's give them large.
Kyle supposed it was possible there were children in the nearby park, so he quickly walked over. Upon arriving, Kyle saw several families happily walking around and playing in the snow. Kyle called for the families to gather around him. The children bounced over expectantly. Kyle presented the children with a gift. "Here, kids," said Kyle. "Enjoy. Kyle produced the bottle of lard, snapped the neck off,
Oh.
and poured it all over the children and their
Oh, no.
parents. The group stood, shocked and confused. Kyle threw his arms out wide in celebration. Merry Christmas! He shouted. Kyle laughed from the bottom of his stomach. Suddenly, with a crack, all of the children pointed at Kyle, mouths hanging open and with glowing red eyes. They began to walk towards Kyle together, continuing to point and murmuring softly.
Okay, this sounds like something out of a Christmas horror movie.
Kyle suddenly realized he was in a strange situation. Kyle turned to flee, but was stopped by an incoming mob of children coming towards him from behind. By pouring out lard on the children of the city, Kyle had triggered the ancient lard evil that lay underground.
Lord Evil. Ancient Lord Evil.
Sensing the incoming evil and without anywhere to turn, Kyle began to burrow into the ground. Kyle stayed under the earth and waited for the ancient evil to go away from the city. That time did not come. The ancient lard evil took over the populace of the town, turning Kyle's city into a mass of lumpy fat and sticky piles. Over the years, many supernatural investigators tried to find the root of the city's problems but failed. Roads leading to the city were eventually blocked, leaving it as a banned, evil place to never be set foot in again. Kyle eventually expanded his underground home to be a series of tunnels running underneath the city. He made friends with the animals there. They taught him how to eat dirt. They showed him the wonders of the underground. But the city above remained unchanged. Kyle had changed his city forever.
I don't know how to feel about that ending. It's definitely strange, but not the strangest. Okay, I'm gonna end this episode here. Like, subscribe, all that fun jazz. Hit the notification bell. Let me know if I whenever I upload. Check the description for the store page and store links and my links as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Ancient Lord. Evil Ancient Lord. Okay.